Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to 2019. That is right, Happy New Year to everyone around the world celebrating New Year's. It is 2019. We are gone with 2018. That's in the past now, and we are going to get into a very exciting video today. It will be, again, obviously, Twins conversation, but today we will be comparing the previous decade Twins to today's Twins, this year's Twins, and specifically the 2009 Twins, when they finished first place in the AL Central with a record of 86 and 77. Now, before I get into this, as most of you know, if you're Twins fans, we used to be the Washington Senators. Not a very good team. We finished last, fifth, sixth, almost every year. Then we became the Twins, moved to Minnesota, and we actually had some pretty decent years in like 1969, 1989, 1999 was okay, and then obviously 2009. So let's jump right into this first place Twins 10 years ago and see basically how they did it, and well, compare them to today's 2019 team. And we're supposed to be good this year. They say that every year, so let's just jump right into this video. So the 2009 Minnesota Twins, like I said, finished 86 and 77. First in the AL Central, which means they did something right. Okay, so we've established that they had 817 runs, 765 runs allowed. Now, obviously, they're in the plus, but that's not that much of a margin. That's only about 55 runs, and that's kind of surprising to me. Obviously, they're not like the Yankees or the Astros or the Red Sox, where they're winning 108 games. I mean, they struggled still. They won the division, but only by, 9 games. So 4 games go the other way, and they're at 500. That's crazy. To win the division like that, I mean, obviously, be 9 games above 500, they did something right, but it's not going to stick out like a team would this year or this past year, like the Red Sox, the Astros, or the Yankees. So they're probably a middle-of-the-pack team, more of like a Cleveland team of this last year, where they had some good players, and we'll go through them, but they were not like that top quality player or team, rather than like the Red Sox or the Yankees. So let's jump into a little bit more of the stats. They obviously played in the Metrodome, Minneapolis. That is where the new U.S. Bank Stadium, where the Vikings play, is now. They just built right over top of it. They had a attendance that year of 2,416,000. That's a pretty cool stat. And it was a hitters and pitchers ballpark for some reason. It was 3 points over the park factor rating for batters and 2 points over for pitching. Just a fun statistic to throw that in there. And obviously, who did we lose to in the playoffs? The Yankees. We all know that already. We don't need to elaborate on that. So anyways, how did this team get to where they are? And it was led by Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau. Two of, well, in this era at least, some of the greatest players in the MLB. Obviously, Joe Mauer coming off a couple other good seasons the past 2 years. I think this was his MVP season, if I'm not mistaken. 26 years old, played 138 games. This is when he was a catcher. And, I mean, his stats are just amazing. 30 doubles, 28 home runs, just 4 ticks under 100 RBIs, even had 4 stolen bases. I mean, he struck out only 63 times, and that was a really big thing for this team. They did not strike out ever. And I can get into this a little bit more later once we're done with all these statistics. But Joe Mauer, the MVP of the season, and just being amazing around this time frame. He was really going to lead the team. Justin Morneau, pretty much very similar statistics, to be honest. 31 doubles, 30 home runs. So he actually hit that 30-30 club with 100 RBIs, 72 walks, and 86 strikeouts, a couple bit more. The only thing that separates Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau here was the batting average, and Joe Mauer's was 365. This was his MVP season. That's the highest batting average by a catcher ever. And then Justin Morneau was at 274, and they both played amazing. But that's the two guys that led the team. They also had Alexi Casilla, he was okay. He only played about half the games. Orlando Cabrera, Joe Creed. I don't even remember who Joe Creed is. That's how unimpactful, I guess, he was. He was 31 years old as well. But then Delman Young, Carlos Gomez, Michael Kadire, Jason Kubel, Denard Span. That was an outfield that did not let anything drop. And now, I mean, we have a great outfield now with Buxton. When he's healthy, he can catch anything. But even now, Jake Cave, Kepler, Rosario making some plays out there in the outfield. They all did their part. And, I mean, you've had power with Kadire, and Kubel, and Maurer, and Morneau. You had speed with Casilla, Cabrera, and Delman Young, and Gomez especially. Like, this was a well-balanced team. And then if you go and Span, of course, too. Of course, Nick Punto as a guy in there as well. There was a bunch of guys all around this team that really made this team special. And I really want to relate this to the Red Sox of this past year, and I will do that in 1 second after we get done with the pitching. So pitching, on the other hand, not as maybe well known as some of those batters, the hitters, like Joe Mauer in his MVP season. Obviously, that helps when you don't have to do all the work as a pitcher. So we have Nick Blackburn, Scott Baker, who had a very good season, Francisco Liriano, who did not, Glenn Perkins, Kevin Slowly, Carl Pavano, and then obviously this is where we got our luck back, I guess. We had Brian Dunsing, who we just got rid of him the last couple of years, but he was pretty good at this time. Also, Joe Nathan, and this was, well, just around this time as well. All these guys, Maurer, Morneau, Joe Nathan, having, stellar seasons where they were just fantastic every game. Joe Nathan recorded hundreds of saves as a Twin, and he was the guy we relied on. Let's just see how many saves did he have. 47 that year, and that just helped propel the Twins up to where they are today. So why I want to relate this to the Red Sox here. If we go to the ranks, I want to show you the ranks here. So this was not, like I said, maybe a record team like the Red Sox, but it was built like the Red Sox. So their ranking, look at this. They were 4th in wins with 87, 10th in losses with 76. So, that's pretty good. Like I said, middle of the pack, though. They weren't super good. They weren't not good. Their ERA was 11th, but again, middle of the pack. Saves was 4th. Hits was 12th. Runs 10th. Earned runs 11th. Home runs given up 13. They walks. The walks was number 1. So I guess we did not walk anybody. That's a good thing. Make your fielders work, and that's what I've been preaching as a coach for a while. And then batting stats, we were 5th, 4th, 12th, 2nd. What was we? 2nd in triples. I guess that helps when Denard Span hits 10, and then everybody else has at least 1 in the starting lineup. But then 9th in home runs, 10th in stolen bases. That's a lot of numbers to just throw out at you guys. But the point is, what do the Red Sox do that teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers don't? Now, the Yankees and the Dodgers have a similar record to the Red Sox, but why? Because they can hit a ton of home runs, right? And, this team had that. They had Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau, Kubel, Kadire. Those guys combined had 120 home runs. Those 4 guys of the, 9, 10, 12 players that played on the team, they got most of their home runs. Who does that on the Red Sox? You've got Mitch Moreland, Mookie Betts. Those 2 guys really stick out. Jackie Bradley Jr. can hit them too. Ian Kinsler. That whole team, they can all hit home runs. But it's not just a home run hitting team like the Yankees are. And that's a big deal when you have a team that is well-rounded. They talk about this, and I want to get into this in another video in more depth, but they talk about, teams that are home run hitting strikeout. You either strike out, you walk, or you hit a home run. And then you have teams that try to get on base. It's basically a money ball thing. this was a Moneyball team, basically. It was a well-rounded team that didn't try to just jack the ball and strike out or walk. And that is what separates this team from other teams, and that is why they did so well this season. Now, how I want to match this up with this team today. We obviously lost Joe Mauer in the offseason. We don't have a Justin Morneau or anybody that caliber, but we did pick up Nelson Cruz. That's a big home run hitting outfield position. He could also play DH, I guess. So that's going to take over the Kubel spot, for example. The DH, I guess he can play right field if he needs to. That's that. Logan Morrison, that's kind of a big guy like Justin Morneau. He struggled last year. We'll get him going hopefully this year. We don't have a Mauer that just, rips doubles. However, we have Eddie Rosario, Max Kepler, Jake Cave, who can put the ball in the gap. We have Logan Forsythe, or actually, I think we picked up Jonathan Scopes, so that could be good. And then, we have these guys. They're not superstars. They're not incredible. I mean, we had Dozier, he's another good example. But we have guys. They're not superstars. But they do their job, and they could do their job decently well. And Miguel Sano, that's another big one that goes along with maybe like a Mauer or even a Delman Young, who can jack home runs, but really he can play his position well. And we just have this team that is really forming like this 2009 team, where there's guys who have power, there's guys who have speed, there's guys who know their job and can do it well. And that is why I really think last year, a little bit of a rebuilding year. We struggled early. We couldn't catch them. But this year, there's hope, because it's representing a team. It's similar to this team from 2009, and that is why I think the Twins could repeat history in a year that ends with a 9 and maybe win the division title. I think we have a good shot, and hopefully we just don't have to play the Yankees. But that's my take on it, guys. I want to know what yours is. Is this team similar that we've started forming? We might go pick up a couple more pitchers. That would be great. We really don't have anybody except for Gibson right now. I mean, from last year, I guess, who really did well. But let me know what you guys think. I'll make a couple more videos, maybe stretching off of a couple topics here in the next coming days. But what do you think? Is this team similar to 2009? Is it better? Is it worse? And what do you think we are going to, accomplish this season? So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments what you're thinking. I will be back here tomorrow with more Twins news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you then.